welcome back to the channel. And what is our midweek sort of, I don't know, do we call it a DIY? Do we call it a how-to?
Yeah, I think how-to.
Whatever. We've done 2 videos so far. If you've missed those, go back on the channel, or I'll stick them in the end screen. But we are currently on, I'm going to call it our main job, so our Friday video, which will last a bit longer. And we are doing a patio and slabbed area. I'll show you where we currently are with what we're doing, and we're going to talk about basic tools, the base that you've got to put down first, how to lay your slabs. Oh, by the way, it's about slabbing, if you hadn't guessed by the thumbnail. And what we then, all the things we do to make it a little bit simpler for ourselves, and a bit of do's and don'ts, I suppose, as well. We get on with it.
Yeah.
Right then. So you can see we've done our patio area. So we're gonna start from here, because what we want you to sort of see is the brick wall. So almost if it's the back of the house, don't we?
Yeah.
To try and so you can associate what we're saying with like the back of your house, for example, or down the side of a shed or something, rather than showing you this, because this was all over the top of walls and we had to set it out differently. But head over to the channel if you want to see that. We'll talk about all that. So we're saying now this is our first slab. We're laying our first slab. So we're going to talk about base first, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah. You want a hardcore base, roughly about 100mm thick. I think it's quite a, a nice base to work off. That's going to be solid and stuff. And we put terrain under this as well, haven't we, to give it?
Yeah, really good quality terrain. So we were able to whacker the dirt, weren't we?
Yeah.
First, and then put this on top and whacker on top of the terrain, which then stops any weeds coming through.
Yeah.
It's up to you if you use it, but we have, because we got it on hand. The customer already got it, and it was good quality, so we used it. We whackered the dirt, whackered the hardcore. And again, we set all the hardcore out using pegs, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
To give us our proper height and to make sure we were level. And again, we go on that on the main channel, so go back and have a look at that. We're not going to go into that in this video. So you got your base down.
Yeah. As level as you can get it.
As level as you can physically get it.
Yeah.
Which is why we'll talk about the thickness of your bed, or your sand cement bed in a minute underneath your slabs, but to eliminate any kind of discrepancies in your main base, which is your hardcore. Basic tools first, do you think?
Yeah, I think you're going to need, obviously, a shovel.
So a shovel, an area to mix, a nice clean area to mix. In this instance, we are mixing all the way up there. You can't even see it on the camera, all the way up the top of there. We've got to bring everything down here. So we are bringing it down in buckets and put it in barrels. Now we've got building sand and cement, and we've also got sharp sand and cement. The reason being is you don't need to worry about this, but we've got a concrete base, and we've only allowed for a 10mm bed on top of that, because as you can see, the concrete, if you can see it on there, the concrete is about 25mm or so higher than the hardcore. We'll go into that in a second. So, yep, shovel, somewhere to mix.
Yep, yep. Trowel.
A trowel of sorts.
Yep. Pointing trowel.
Little pointing trowel, always handy, isn't it?
Yep. Tape measure for measuring your cuts, and
tape and pencil.
Yeah, always handy.
Or marker, whatever you want to do.
Yep.
Obviously, make sure you're not marking something that's not going to be not going to come off. Obviously, if you use a marker.
Rubber mallet.
Rubber mallet. Rubber mallets, I reckon it's a good one.
Yeah,
necessity.
Definitely. Because if you're using a lump hammer or anything like that, it's going to mark your slabs and damage it. Where this is rubber mallet's the way forward.
down your slabs.
Yep.
And then a level.
And then your
levels and whatever.
Yep. Just
maybe a string line, maybe.
String line could be handy. Yeah, if you're going to. Yeah. It's easier to follow a line than anything else, isn't it? So yeah.
It is
definitely.
Right then. So go on to the first slab then. So you've checked your base. You're as level as you can be. You've set it to your pegs if that's what you're going to do.
Yep.
Would you recommend putting a slab either end, or do you reckon that's complicating it? What would you try and do?
If you're going to set your line up, you can, and you have got a laser level, you could set it at the right heights and then string your line through, and that's a good way of following that. Yeah.
So what Luke's saying there is, when we did that first row there to get our initial level line before we start leveling off it, we put that slab in over there to the height we wanted it, and then we put that slab in there to the height we wanted it, and then we pulled the string line from there to put all the slabs against. And we then made sure that our distance between the 2 slabs is what we want to put the rest of our slabs in. Now, it may be that you've got to tweak it a little bit, but because you've put that in, you can just tap it and just move it while it's still wet if you needed to. But, we don't overcomplicate things, so if you wanted to sort of set a level there and a level over there with a peg, and then set a height for your slabs, you could do, couldn't you?
Yeah, definitely, yep.
Okay, so what type of compound mix then? So
because I'm laying on hardcore, I would just use sharp sand and cement mix.
Sharp sand and cement?
Yeah.
And what sort of ratio do you think?
Like 5 to 1, 4 to 1, something like that. Yeah.
So depending where it is, what type of ground you got,
Yeah.
what are we
If you're
using?
putting like a smaller mix than 40 mil, I'd recommend a stronger mix. So,
Okay,
but
because
if
we're
it's-
doing a 40 mil bed we've
Yeah.
allowed, which is 40 mil on top of the hardcore, and then about a 10 to 15 mil on top of the concrete because we've had to put this base in. That's why we've got 2 going. Now we've put SBR in our mix, haven't we?
we have,
A couple of glugs of SBR, which is like it's a primer, isn't it? But
Yeah.
it's a lot better than PVA's
Yeah.
top thing, so we've used that. We'll talk about the use of SBR in a minute further on in the video.
Yeah.
But so we're going to minimum 40 mil bed,
Yeah.
sharp sand cement.
Sharp sand and cement. Yeah. If it's
Is
any
always,
thinner,
is always good.
if it's any thinner and you're working on top of like a concrete that's already down, that's when I'd use just the building sand and
So
cement.
if you were
then.
going on top of an old crazy paving patio from the whatever it used to be, 70s, 80s
Yeah.
type thing,
You'll
then you
fi-
could always just go for the sand
Yeah,
cement.
you'll find it a lot more easier to get your slabs down. You ain't going to get no big
No, little-
pebbles.
little
Yeah,
pebbles
even
in
though
there.
sharp sand's got really small, but you can get the odd big lump in there that's going to throw
Well,
you.
the building sand we've had, we were finding it was like ballast, wasn't
Yeah.
it? 20 mil brick in it. But anyway,
Terrible.
okay, so another tool which we want to talk about, which assists you to make sure your bed's right, is this, and it's just a bit of wood. That's all it is. Our slab is 40 mil, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what Luke's done is cut this bit of timber. Now the length of this is according to his slab. So if you drop that on top of that, what he's done is, as you can see from his notch there, look, is at the length of his slab there. And what this is to do to allow him to screed his sand cementing. So under there now is our 40 mil bed that we're going to put down. So what he's done is that dimension there in this instance, because we're doing a 40 mil bed, is 35 mil. So make sure his bed, when he puts it on, sits 5 mil higher. Now you don't tamp it down, you just drag it. I'll show you in a minute, just to make sure you get the right size bed. At least it means you haven't got to start lifting your slab up, isn't it, if it's too high or too low.
Yeah, and the best way to lay slabs is on a full bed. You don't want to dot and dab
No.
sort of slabs because, you've always got other places to get underneath. If you could drop on
And the
them,
frost and stuff
yeah,
as well,
it's no
If
good.
drop
You want to lay them
something,
on a
you can
full
crack
bed.
your slab, so full bed
Yeah.
every time, which is what these are on, which is why it's so labour and material intensive. So should we just lay our first mortar bed and we'll
Yeah.
show them using the screed, shall we?
Yep, let's do it.
you've got your basic bed now, again he hasn't tamped it down, he's just dragged it just to make sure he has got a bed, so it's still quite loose. So it allows your slab then to, when you sit on top, you can tamp it down. One quick thing, we are putting a 5mm groove in ours because we're going to go out and we've done brick patterns, so we don't want to complicate it by saying that. So ignore the fact that there's a 5mm gap. That's just the way we've done it. That's what we wanted to do. So generally slabs got to get butt together, don't they?
Yeah,
you butt them together.
Yeah.
So in order to stop you struggling to put your slabs together and compo going between them, and then again have to get them back up again and put them back down again. So the less time you have to handle these, the better, because they can hurt your back, can't they?
Yeah, they're horrible.
600 by 600. So just a little bit of a trick that you always make sure you do, and that is move the sand cement away from any sort of hard edge like that, just to make sure you're nice and clean like that. If you can see it on the screen there, and likewise there. And what that does then is when you put the slab on top, when you tamp it down, it gives room for the compo to spread into. And also when you put your slab against that now, it will go down nice, and you won't end up with a thin layer of compo. It's trapped in between the slabs or the slab on the wall, and not allowing you to butt them up tight. However, in this instance, again, we are having a gap against our wall, aren't we?
We are, yeah.
Couple of reasons. We like the idea of a bit of a gravel to stop splash against your wall anyway.
Yeah.
It's always a good idea not to slab tight against, and you pay attention to your damp proof course on your house, but again, maybe that's a different video. Just pay attention to that. You don't want to go above that with your new slabs. And we're going to put gravel along here, so we're going to have a gap there. So there we are. So the next stage then is put the slab down, isn't it?
Yeah, and priming it.
And priming it, which leads us on to the use of SBR primer. So in there then, we've got a mixture of cement,
Yep.
with just neat cement, a little bit of water, and then SBR primer. Now you can have a look at it on Google. I'm not going to go into what it says on the back of the tin and all that, but it is a better primer than PVA. You wouldn't use PVA for this because PVA dries and it just peels off, so it's no good. So the reason for this is to, what does this do? Do you think? What's this primer do?
I think it helps the adhesion from the back of the slab to the mortar bed. So it just gives it something to stick
Help
to.
stick.
Yeah.
Just to stop any delamination of that when it dries. Especially if the bone dries, it's hot. It's not hot today, but it's lovely weather. If that dries quicker than and that's bone dry, it might not stick at it.
No.
So we use this to prime the back of that slab, and we've also got SBR fugue logs in our water when we mix this up, just to help that, to make that sticky almost, if you like. So it helps the two stick together.
Even though these are porous, they say you shouldn't really need to put it on. If like a concrete slab, it's normally you'd use a primer if it was like a porcelain slab or something like that.
And you said a porcelain's got its own particular primer.
Normally if I was doing like a porcelain patio, I'd use a lot, it's like a very thick cement, wet cement mix, and you'd roll it on.
Specifically for, not SBR, specifically for. Okay, right.
But I don't think it hurts just to put a bit of cement on the back just to help it adhere to it.
Can it?
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll do that, and then it just gets put on top of there, and then we'll show you the process in a second. Now, if you've got someone to help you at this stage putting these slabs in, it is a lot better than someone standing pointing the camera at you.
Yeah.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah.
Well, them to do it yourself and bossed your back. Anyway, like I say, you're going to have to excuse these packers, because this is our 6mm, actually, not 5mm. I think I said 5mm. It's 6mm packers to form a nice brushing grout line. But anyway, that's just because we wanted to make it look a bit more special, rather than just butting it up against each other type slab area. But we just made more work for ourselves, haven't we, really? That's what we've done.
Yeah.
So then work your level round to make sure you're level. And again, if this is your first slab, you just do it as it was a singular slab. But in this instance, because like I said, we've already done this, we are now making sure we level with the ones next to it. But same principles apply. Make sure this is square both ways, or level, sorry, both ways. Okay, so if you're going all the way across here now, mate, I mean, we have already gone into it just, but in terms of tips to try and make sure it's level, would you maybe just get a big straight edge, maybe?
Yeah.
So you can level one. If you're not going to go to extremes of putting pegs in, you haven't got a laser and whatever, you want you to go sort of 6, 7, 8 slabs that way. Get a little level to make sure that's level, and then maybe get a big level then, put a slab down, put it on top of it to make sure it's not like this or not going like that, and just tap it to that big level, making sure you keep leveling it and level it this way. Put a big straight edge on. It doesn't have to be a level, just something that's really straight, just to make sure you haven't got any hollows or humps in your slabs. And I think that's really it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. So just keep checking your levels, making sure that's all right.
Yeah, and I mean, depending on how quick you move, if you did want to go down that route of putting one in, pulling the string line, then just make sure you haven't laid too many slabs for what you want to achieve. It may be that you could go, okay, I want to do all of this, but I'm going to lay that one and I'll lay the one in the middle and level it. Put a big straight edge across the two, level it, put that one in, pull your line between your two, and then, you know, do 2 or 3 at a time. You haven't got to do like we did and do it all the way across, because when you're doing it weekends and things, if you've got, especially if this isn't your job, you've got to allow time for yourself, haven't you, at weekends, so you haven't got time to just keep going all day, have you? So there we are.
And who wants to?
And who wants to, especially putting slabs down. It's hard graft, isn't it? So that is it, isn't it?
Yep.
Have we got anything else to add, do you think? I don't think we have we?
I'll probably think of something when you turn the camera off, and now for the fact of it.
If we think of anything, we'll talk about it shortly.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed that little how-to on slabbing. We probably just complicated things even more for you, because unfortunately I found, since doing this YouTube business for 5 years now, you tend to forget that you might be talking to people on the other side of the screen that have never done it before and just want a couple of tips. And me talking, because I'm not a teacher, I don't know how to teach, because I think you need to know how to teach people. It's difficult sometimes, isn't it?
Very, yeah.
So we try our best. We hope you've got something from that, if nothing else other than to comment and say it was an absolute load of rubbish. So thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next one.
Practice makes perfect, doesn't it?
Apparently so.
The more you do, the better you'll get.
Well, I think we've done enough slabs to say that we've practiced on this one. Do you reckon? I reckon so. Right then.